Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Newsome with Power Up the Narrative. We have a special guest. Her name is Emma Moshola. She does a lot of beautiful work on TikTok, and she's come to give us a lot of her gems on healing and growth. And so, Emma, I did send you questions before the podcast started. And so, one of them was, we'll just dive right into it.
Let's do
What
it.
do you think? No, no, sorry. That was my response to you. Like, it was gonna say, "What do you think of those questions?" So
Yeah.
let me go to the actual questions.
They're down
um,
there.
when did you realize you weren't broken but you were healing?
Yeah, and I love that question because being able to reflect on what was that moment, however long ago it was, is also brings you back to being like, dang, we've come so far, like we've been there. So yeah. A moment where I realized that I was healing is when it was like the moment I was clicking with understanding where my anxiety was stemming from and how I kind of was creating my own emotional turmoil by way of decision paralysis, by way of that people pleasing trauma box that you get placed in. And that was a really intense moment of being like, okay, I understand why this is occurring, and then being like, what am I going to do about it when it comes up? How can I curb my anxiety before it even starts? And so that was a moment.
Yeah, it feels like there's like a sort of preventative maintenance. There's like a awareness building.
Yeah,
How did that snowball over time as a healer?
that's a good question. I feel like that was the first okay, lock it in. And then that opened up my awareness to being like, I don't, if I don't know, so I'd try some. So where it kind of started to manifest and really help me out with healing was, healing from my traumatic narcissistic parental stuff. I don't know, it's so hard to explain, but because a lot of my healing has been because I've wanted to learn more about why I'm triggered and how to understand myself and make myself a better whole person for my relationship, so that way I can kind of be able to support myself and my husband when it's needed, where that 50-50 or it's that 60-30, whatever, that it's give and take. But being able to understand that decision paralysis made me be able to be like, okay, if you don't really know what the answer is right now, or too many things are on the table, that's okay. And if you and if something's far off in the distance where there's not a true timeline, then you actually don't have to worry about it, and you can start taking one thing at a time off your table and putting it into your mind and play around with that idea and start doing something about it. So for me, it was how am I gonna inform my my father of my pain that that I've endured, and the things that his actions has caused in me, and how am I going to make that land for him. And then I would start trying to write something about it and being like, God, this feels exhausting, I don't want to have to over explain like this. So that started to be okay, well, that doesn't fit, and so I would take it off the plate, but not being stuck on, I don't know, what do I do, what's the right answer, just kind of being well, everything's on the table until it's not, and then that one or two things remain, and then you can go, what feels best.
Yeah, I like that you said that too, because there's an ADHD section in there for me where it's just there's the whole everything feels urgent. So what do we do first?
Yeah.
It's like the SpongeBob meme where there's a bunch of SpongeBob and there's a fire and they're running around everywhere.
Yeah.
That's my brain. But also there's a section there that pops out for me, which is having to explain to people what they did that hurt you. Because my expectation is that they'll completely get it and they'll apologize, but
Yeah.
there's a barrier there for me where it's they don't get it, and then you
Yeah.
have to go in this pattern of over explaining. So I'm wondering for you, when you think about things now versus then, how did you work with that habit of over explaining, and where you at?
Yeah. The over explaining comes with that need to be understood and validated, and that expectation that, like, well, am I going to convince them of them, or am I going to convince them my pain was real? Like, what's the end goal? You know, so removing myself from, like, the, and it was a long process, but removing the need of being understood, and being able to at least try to convey your message. And if you feel good about how you showed up in that conversation, then you just can't allow a misinterpreting, like, to dissuade you from feeling like you're confident and like you've at least showed up for yourself, to advocate for whatever version of yourself needed that advocating, or that closure, or that, you know, justice. And that is something that I struggled with, for sure, being like, why am I writing all this out? Like, what's going to change? Like, do I really feel that this is going to land, or is it going to actually create more chaos, more turmoil and more conflict because of the potential, like, emotional immaturity and lacking emotional intelligence of the person I'm trying to convey it to, and like, what am I trying to get out of it? So being able to release expectation and just go with, I deserve to just say this because now it's released from me and it's a return to sender type of energy, you know?
Like reclaiming your energy, like
Call my power back to me, like, yeah.
draw your power, yeah, because I'm big into energy rituals too.
Yeah.
So there's like a ritual not every day, every couple of days. Where did I give my power away?
Yeah.
That helps too. And I think it's key to even acknowledge that stuff, because, you know, some people think that energy stuff is bullshit. You know, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, on a subconscious level, like, if you want to go psychology wise, you are giving away your energy,
Yes.
your mental energy.
It's
to
true.
the problem you have no control over. So I like that's your approach with it. And you know, give you one question. So I guess with that being said, that's kind of a good segue into our next question of, like, what version of yourself
It's
you have to let go?
such a good segue, because I had to disconnect from anger and reactivity. How the heck do you do that? Like, how do you sit there while, like, someone is blowing up at you and not actively defending yourself? Because that's like a knee-jerk reaction. You have to dive in and be like, why the fuck am I triggered? What's happening? I don't want to continue to have this same argument. I don't want to repeat the pattern. I don't want to keep repeating myself. I got so sick and tired of that cycle. And that was within my marriage. That was a moment where I had to be like, why the fuck am I triggered? What the fuck am I going to do about it? And that's where, like, that work came into play. I had to release from anger. It's the same thing, I'm dealing with the same type of energy I had to deal with trying to, you know, navigate a healing moment with my narcissistic parent. I had to navigate with my husband in times of disconnect, you know. There's there's so much to unpack, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. That kind of leads me to a question. And you feel free to answer this.
Yeah.
This is for another podcast. But were there patterns with your dad that overlapped with your relationship with your husband?
Yes, and the reason is like, it's hard for me to talk in very, like, specific detail, because I just, like, haven't before, and I don't ever want to feel like I'm negatively portraying somebody because of my lack of being able to explain it well, or, like, air someone's business. But yes, the similarities are because my husband had an alcohol addiction, and that manifested the same way as sometimes portraying narcissistic ideology. But here's the difference is when you can look at a person and go, I know your heart, I know you, I know that this doesn't fit with you. It's not your actual core reality or who you are. And that means that like the illness is real, like that alcoholism, that the effects of alcohol are portraying that certain way. Because my husband would later on in our relationship, we're 8 years together, but like so more recently in like the past like couple years where he's had attention to his healing, he'd be like, I kind of feel like I might be a little narcissistic. And I'm like, I understand why you feel that way, and like amazing to have that kind of like awareness to be like, I don't think I like how I'm acting or interacting right now, and taking that, you know, that takes like an ego death and bringing it like, hey, I see this in me and I'm being vulnerable and I'm asking for help. Now it's my job to not judge, to understand, to have compassion, empathy, and also do work paralleling like his, like, you know, where I had been doing so much work waiting for him to catch up. Then it's like, well, now that he's here, we're doing our own work together, but then it's also like crisscrossing. So the similarities are because my father, yes, has an alcohol addiction, and the difference is there's a little bit less self-awareness in my father. You know what I mean? Like the just not he hasn't really healed his inner child, in my opinion, enough to just let go of needing to feel a certain way about a scenario, and that like he needs the justice as much as like just being like, I understand and I'm sorry for the way that my actions caused you pain, and that's it. Like, and that's all anyone could really ask for to hear in a moment. And that's, you know, we've gotten there at this point. You know, it was hard fought, and there has been recollection with me and my father at this point, and that is like 2.5 years in the making. That was hard decisions of me going no contact, honoring my boundaries, and a lot of work, a lot of patience, a lot of different cycles of what do I want, what's important to me, what do I need, you know.
Yeah, you dropped a lot of gems.
So sorry. It's a lot.
It's a good thing to talk in this podcast. I think what I was hearing too is that you making this differences between your husband and your father. I think the big difference that I want to make too is that he was willing to try and listen. Like I think that, you know, we're all human, and we're not exempt from our demons or our shadows. But your husband seemed like he was willing to try to be better and heal, and then you heal, because I can imagine in those moments he was a mirror for you too about
he really taught me a lot about accountability. I thought I was doing accountability. He thought I was over explaining, and then I had to stop taking that so personally and being like, well, I just don't think you get my side, because I was still invalidating him. I still wasn't giving him what he needed. I was just being like, do you understand what I'm saying? So I can feel like I'm not being shut out or heard or like whatever, you know. But that didn't work because the cycles continued. And then I had to be like, all right, what next? What is going to help us move forward? And that was me releasing anger, releasing from reactivity, because if I can sit here and take the energy and emotional state and delivery of whatever is being said, it's more important to let the person express themselves and hear what's being said, because then you can pick out their needs. And if you're interested in problem solving and reconciliation and moving forward, then that's really important. Like, one of you has to be able to be like, I'm okay. I'm not getting all emotionally worked up, and I'm sitting here almost silent, just to be like absorbing. And then I would say like, I hear you. I don't have it all processed yet. thank you for sharing with me. Like, it's important for me to take a second so I can understand what you're saying and come back to you. And not fight it. Not fight him. Not be like, well, this, that, and the other thing. Like, that wasn't solving anything. That was only working. That's like me spending unnecessary energy.
Yeah, you gave us some good tools there. You know, you mentioned active listening, which is basically what it is, like releasing anger, and I also hear releasing ego because I feel like
It's a huge one.
like that's yeah, like I feel like that's really what comes into play when you're in a relationship. Like, you know, I want to be right, I am right. You know, like I need to push my agenda, and most of all, it is intention versus impact because I feel like from what I was hearing, your husband was saying like, "Hey, I hear what you're saying, but you're not hearing how what you did impacted me, regardless
Yeah.
of your intention behind it." So,
Yeah.
those are two things that distinguish.
Like, I was continuously triggering him, you know what I mean? Like, and so I had to be like, I don't think I understand, but now I'm going to try. Like, it took a while because when I had my ADHD diagnosis, I almost hid behind that to be like, okay, well, like, not intentionally, but it was like, I said that so freely, but it's like, I had to learn to, like, not be like, well, I have ADHD and this is how I process and this is what I'm like trying to convey and da 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 da. He's like, okay, but first of all, I'm hurt and like you're not understanding me, and unfortunately it took like it's not unfortunate, but like it took a while for me to like learn like in this moment, like I'm on the rung up here, like on the ladder. I'm up here, he's right here. You know, we're not quite at the same level right now. So he's learning, he's trying. So I have to be like, okay, I'll pause. We're gonna work through your emotions first. We're gonna make sure that I understand what you need, because as soon as he feels understood, then I'm understood. Then he has a different mentality of communication, of understanding, of empathy. So it's a give and a take, and it's not like my needs are more important. It's what's going to get us to the like finish line. What's going to get us to problem resolution, and just like teammate, you know, like we're good. And then also not carrying that frustration, being like, that chapter's closed, that little story got written, we're good, and we move on. And you can continue to have a good day. Like, you know, if you have like a whole day where like people are like, you know, have a moment of an hour where they're like in conflict, it doesn't have to carry through the whole day. And that's proven in my life.
Yeah, I like that. Like this, like a dedicated hour to like this is when we hash it out. What other patterns couples do is that they hold resentment. You know, we have psychological phenomenon where like, you know, people will play passenger in the car and they'll use that seat in the car to pick fights because they get powerless in a relationship. You know, but I like that you're squashing all these things now before they come up, because it's like you do talk about your conflict. Y'all do get ahead of this. Y'all aren't the perfect couple because nobody is. But you had your shit, you aired it out, you continue to air it out as it comes up, and I think that's what keeps things healthy. And I'll say one other thing too, is like couples counseling is like great, but a lot of people avoid it until they're about to get divorced, which is like, well, what the fuck is it gonna do at this point? Excuse my French, but it's like if I got shot, I waited 24 hours and then I went to the hospital. What
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's really disheartening and sad to see like people just give up on themselves before they even try to do inner work healing, and the expectation that like everyone else has to change and they're going to stay the same. And then you see couples quit their marriage without even trying, and sometimes it's so clear to see like you guys are just not putting your egos aside. You don't want it's more important for people to be right than to, you know, just be like, damn, I can grow in this area and it's important for me to do so. Like taking someone else's feelings and interpretation of your actions. Like, you know, you have to be open to feedback if you want to grow. And again, not let it be met with an ego, because that's just inhibiting you from your own like higher reality. Like, you cannot, everything is waiting for you just like on the other side of like a little hard inner soul searching. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that desired reality is there for everybody. Just get in gear.
I would say too, like, you know, in my perspective, and I've done my inner work and like I continue to do it, and I'm an emotionally intelligent person, that like I feel like for the most part, you know, a lot of conflict, boring narcissists can be avoided, are talked through, and a lot of people are more amenable than it seems. And actually, since you're very self-aware of these techniques, you have a lot of control over the conversation and like the direction it goes. And I've seen that in my experience, and I feel like it's easier to navigate interpersonal relationships with people if you're like, if you clarify, if you're honest, if you're straightforward, if you're like, hey, what you did made me feel like this, so just don't do that anymore. Like,
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Every single word. I have actively sat there like in my inner mind thinking, this could be going so much fucking worse. Like, I'm so happy with just sitting here. I'm being screamed at. I'm being cried to. Like, I don't fucking care. That's a person being vulnerable. I don't have judgment. I've been there. I've been witnessed like this, and I've been loved for it and healed like through it. Like, I don't have anything negative to say. It's more important to be able to understand and get to the root and just be like, damn, I heard something about myself I wasn't aware of, and I'm going to go think about that. And then I'm going to go talk to my therapist about that, and we're going to like uncover, like, you know, and so being honest and not hiding your negativeness, like your own like lack. You have to be willing to take your sack, take their sack, and just be like, I'm carrying both, and it's fine. And we're just like here climbing the mountain, riding like the slide, like, because that is life. Like,
yeah. I like your analogy, because it's almost you're holding space, basically. I know.
yeah,
I know for me, like, what I've learned over time is like, especially in conflict, like, what is their shit and what is mine? Where do they begin? Where do they end? Where do I start this conversation? Because, you know, like, sometimes it'll be like, this is what you did, and sometimes it'll be like, you always let me do this. X, Y, Z, you remind me of my dad. And then my ex did this, and then it's like this. It's just like we need to talk to those two.
yeah. Where's the projection? Where's the like, what's because of me? What's ours? What's here? Or what's the other? You know, the other baggage they're still carrying.
I like the circle too, because it's like what's the scope of this conversation for me versus what you need to put in a journal.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But you have a very empathetic approach, and so for me, like, I like the point you made with the screaming and the crying, because, like, for me, you know, a lot of screaming is triggering for me because of my abuse with my mom. So it's like, I feel like for me personally, like, what I do command is respect in the conversation, regardless of people's feelings. Like, I'm like, hey, like, this is not how I prefer to talk to you. If you need to go cool off, like, that's fine, but, you know, I don't do screaming regardless of how you feel about me. I mean, like screaming at me versus screaming about something, you know, two different things.
Right. Right.
But it is a certain level of respect and candor still when you're in conflict. I feel like if they love me and care about me, but, you know, I feel like for me, honestly, like, I couldn't be in integrity with myself and repair a relationship with that person, depending on how their behavior went. And I recognize I'm talking from the perspective of my mom,
right?
From the abuse of my mom.
Yeah.
I'm talking from that perspective.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, it's one of those things where conflict is still scary for me, and it is still very much something where it's like, I feel like conflict is very much being used as a place to, like, tear me down and yell at me and scream at me call me names, and
Yeah.
so I'm still learning too what healthy conflict looks like.
Yeah.
I feel like I model it, and what I'm holding myself accountable to is that I can hold things in, and I did that with my ex. Like I would, in his words, ice him out. I could definitely say in my defense that I was talking to him about the same thing for the fifth or sixth time, and after not getting anywhere, I'd just be like, "Fuck it, I just need to go be alone for a couple
Yeah.
hours. Like I'm
Yeah.
good."
Yeah.
And
That's valid.
he would hate that because he's very much somebody that's I don't like to let conflict linger. Like I need this now, but I'm like I can't give you now if you
Yeah.
can't give like
Yeah.
if you
That's
can't
not
give
being
me this.
respectful of what you need to process.
Yeah, that was a big thing in our relationship. Like we
Yeah.
need to process because
Yeah.
if I did, I never did this, but if I did say something in the moment, that would be ammo in the relationship. That would be like, oh my
Yeah.
God, you did this, like you
Yeah.
said this, and
Like
every
take
argument
it,
we
twist
had,
it, project it back.
twist it, project it back. Every argument we had would be ammo for the next one, and the next one.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, where is, you know? So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm glad you're talking about this openly because you are modeling healthy conflict
Yeah.
and messy conflict, but relationship repair is a big thing. Like you people
Yeah.
know about relationship repair, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you're saying that publicly.
Yeah. And I totally resonate with that. And I had so many different thoughts come through, but I think the one like right now is it goes back to the energy spending of where we have our own energy tank, and you get to decide how much percentage you're dishing out to anything. And so protecting my energy, being in control of my peace, and not letting the energy in my body flare up and get like that chest rattly cage unsure feeling of like, oh my God, I can't hold my own through this conversation because of that triggering loud screaming and because of that like talking over you or like dismissing you. So that is a reason that I implemented those tools consistently. It was so I wasn't spending negative energy reacting, so I can do effective listening for problem solving as quickly as possible, because it was important for me to be able to problem solve and move forward, because I don't want this energy. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to hear. I don't want to talk. I'm confident in my ability to now listen, and this built. This grew over time. We now have conversations of conflict where there's no screaming. There is that mutual respect, but you kind of have to like allow it to be dirty and messy so you can emulate what it is you're trying to portray and be understood about. Say, hey, this is who I am and this is who you get to trust to show up for you. Let yourself be safe with me to do the same. Like that is why like your self-control is so important.
Yeah, because I think in conflict too, what comes up is definitely like a self-protection. So anger
Yes. Oh
and
yes.
defensiveness is self-protection. So you kind of have
Immediately,
to,
yes.
yeah, and the vulnerability is where the real conflict resolution comes. Really, um, yeah. This conversation centers around like anger, ego, self-protection. When
Yeah.
you get down to the softness, it's like, dang, you can make repair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You gotta just be willing to be like the I'm rubber, you're glue. Like this doesn't affect me. I'm okay. This is an emotional reaction that is normal. And so if you're like inquisitive about just if it seems like it's a person who will grow with you and it's important and it seems important to them also, then you can decide to be like, I love you even when you're messy. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. And I'm not taking this on as a personal attack or a personal, like, whatever. I'm just here to listen to what you're saying. And I love you through it. We're going to heal together. You know what I mean? So it just depends on who you're with. And it depends on what they're bringing to the table and what their needs are. Because it could be that you're meeting someone who needs your guidance in their healing. And that was something that I struggled with, being like, damn, I'm really doing all this work, and like I have to then like piggyback bro over here to be like, what's going on? Like, and that was a hard thing to come to terms with. But when he started his mind started to kind of like go like, all right, I see what's happening here. I'm getting the picture. I like it. I'm gonna start doing my own work. It was all worth it in the end because my energy was being matched, and I also would do like the icing out in a way of just being like, I'm just putting my headphones in, I'm cleaning, I'm doing this, I'm going on a walk. I prioritize my own health. I'm going on a walk. Like my husband was sick for a long time, and so I had to, like, I was caring for him, like hospitalizations, like for 2 years. Like, so I was doing a lot of caretaking, and there was a lot of patience through that. There was a lot of love. There was a fuck ton of anger, like, but being able to want to come to the other side of that. Who's going to leave a person in this situation? Like, no, this moment. This is this season, however the fuck long it's going to be. It's going to be, but I'm married. Like, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the anger part of that too. There's a thing called, I think it's compassion fatigue. It's something that, people that are therapists, doctors, and the caretaking especially
Yeah.
get specific resentment around the people they take care of. And I think that's important to note because it's like it points to like a lack of control of the situation. You don't know
How long it's going to take for them to get their, like, gears going.
and you resent the fact that they need you so much. Like,
Almost, yeah. It's hard. Yeah, I never got to resentment, but just acknowledging that, fuck, it's hard. It's hard, and it takes a lot, and it's draining. Going to the hospital and then working and taking care of our dog, like all those things. But it's just like, I so fucking badly want you to get better, because I'll kill you if you die. I'll kill you if you leave me. Like, you needed to get better, and I needed to be there to be like, hard truth, hard truth, hard truth, hard truth, hard truth, and keep telling you hard truth every single time, and not sugarcoat. I stopped sugarcoating with him. Stop the enabling. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna die if this doesn't get fixed. Like, where's your intention? Like, what do you want? Like, I let anger carry me through in a compassionate, loving way, because it had to be there. That's the energy I needed to be strong.
and it's still compassionate and loving that you were honest with him, because somebody that doesn't care about him would just let him keep going.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes love doesn't always look like talks. It looks like clarity and truth.
Yeah, it's true. I've been told my whole life I'm brash. I'm too hard with the truth or whatever. That's just always been it, though. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what needs to be said. Say what you need to hear. If the shoe fits, okay. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm just a very, like, pragmatic and, like, aware person, that the bullshit meter is, like, this low.
I think it's the ADHD for me. I don't know what it is, because I'm like, I can't lie. I can't pretend your reality is my reality, and I can't hold secrets because, like, I don't need to do that. So it's like,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, because people told me the same thing, but they're like, why would you talk about that? Like,
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. And I really learned that I'm not the problem. It's the people that I hang around with, that's the problem.
Yeah.
The people that are sneaky, the people that don't want to hear the truth, the people that sit in their own reality.
Yeah.
Sit in their own fantasy instead of reality.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, 'cause when you're saying, like, the truth is too brash, or how you said it, I was like, the truth is the truth. Like, it's a shared,
Yeah.
hopefully it's a shared reality. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
truth and clarity are like, like, it's like a religion to me at this point. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Definitely. I
it
agree.
is a good filter.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
I will, okay. What comes to mind now is like, okay, I like the other question I had, because this is kind of going into it. What does intimacy mean to you now? Not just sex, but closest vulnerability and trust. And so, yeah, I wanted to hear how that's all evolved since you've been in school with your husband.
It has evolved. Like, there's a lack of sex right now. There's not a lack of intimacy. There's not a lack of love. We're in a different phase of just experiencing. There's things that we need to heal from, like the pain of a miscarriage. We had one in December, and the excitement and love that came with finding out we were pregnant without, like, we weren't trying, like, nothing of the sort. We weren't not trying, but it was such a shock, and I will never forget my husband's reaction. Tears, beyond tears, like the happiest tears, like the scaredest tears, like everything, and just that pride and like that, fuck, it's happening. And, you know, we went to our viability appointment, and at 8 weeks there was no heartbeat. So that was a hard week to get through, and he was by my side the entirety of it. I ended up like passing the fetal sac like in our bathtub, and that kind of was a triggering, like, very medically kind of gruesome thing. And, you know, it stays with you. It stayed with my husband pretty significantly and still is. So now he's actively doing, you know, specific therapy to target that trauma, so that he just feels more at peace and confident, and, you know, whatever, and all these things that are going to lead to him growing in self-confidence. So there's a lot of patience that comes with you know, different seasons of your intimate relationship, whether it's, like, you know, sex driven or not. And I've never been like a very like crazy sexual person, but like I do value like intimacy in the form of like the different love languages. Like, I'm like an acts of service person. Like I am like a doer. I'm a lover. I'll feed you, I'll cook, I'll like not clean, but like I'll, like, when I host, like, it is all out there. I just like put everything I'm thinking of, even if I don't like this thing, I'm like, make sure it's on the table, you know what I mean? Like, so acts of service. But then like that so it evolves, and it's different. There's a lot of patience, but the way my healing specifically has impacted our relationship has been really intense, because I have I have a sexual trauma that I had kept hidden inside for all my life, that I had to bring to light in order to grow, so that my husband would not feel like I fucking hated him. Like, he started to feel like, as a man, he's like, man, I love you, I'm into you, I want to be with you, you know, like, what's going on? And I had this blockade with it, and we'd, you know, do things, and then, like, I would cry. I would feel so just, like, weird, and it wasn't about him. It was just, like, I was faking it. Not faking, like, all of it, but, like, just not being able to get there, not being able to get in touch with my body specifically, and just being like, okay, I can do this, like, it's fine, but, like, it's not doing the same thing for me that it is for this other person, and that's a weird feeling. So, specifically having to, like, reach in, bring that out, and be like, I need to tell people about this, was fucking insane. I ran into my closet, slammed the door, called my dad. He was the first person I brought this up to, because of the person who inflicted my trauma. I have specific trauma related to, like, one person in my family, and then, like, there were times where other people were intimate with me around in an inappropriate setting that left my inner child, like, that inner child wound is, like, I felt stuck, I felt scared, I felt embarrassed, like, I couldn't leave the situation because of the lack of awareness that I, like, wasn't asleep, you know what I mean? Like, all these things. And so it was like, this is horrible, but I'm stuck. And so that manifested a lot. But being able to go, like, hey, this is what it is. This is what I experienced. This is what I want to do about it. Do that thing. Bring that like, I wasn't in therapy at the time. And so I found a therapist. I was like, hey, this is what I need help with. This is what I want to work on. This is exactly what my goal is. I was able to bring my father as support in that moment, and the other family member, into a therapy session after some planning and stuff. I was able to bring them into a room and say, hey, this has been a negative little mark on my life for the whole time. I'm not here to blame you. I don't, like, it is what it is. I don't need you to say you remember anything or what your intention was or that you're sorry. I just need to say, like, here it is. Goodbye. I'm releasing it. That return to center energy that we talked about earlier. Like, that was that. Being able to being able to just sit on the side of my bed. No, I was like crying on the floor and my husband's just sitting there, and I said, this is what I've gone through. This is my experience. Opening up my, like, pain to him, and him being like, wow, you know, like, I had to say, like, this was never about you. Like, I have to continuously say, hey, I'm unsure about this, or, like, I'm wanting to grow in this. Like, it's a very, like, ever evolving thing of, you know, healing intimately, and, you know, as you, like, reach new levels of what you're experiencing in life, then it's just never going to be one thing, you know. So, but just vulnerability and releasing shame, that wasn't mine to carry anymore. Yeah, that's so far all I have to say. What I have to say.
Sharing that. That takes a lot of bravery and courage to put that out there in the world. And you know, something else I was gonna say, but I forgot your bravery. But you know, I think that's the thing about being sexual victim. It happened to me when I was a kid, and you know, I think that as an adult, especially close in our relationship, what I'm struggling with is that capacity to receive, like, pleasure, like, it touches my body again, and, you know, trusting it, and you know, because I saw my ex with so many men, they just love sex, like, you know, like, and I'm just like, how do you get so much enjoyment out of this, like,
Yeah.
but also it's also just figuring out what I actually like,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
my body, feel like it's safe to explore my body.
It so is. Yeah, you deserve to. Absolutely. Because anything that was done to us isn't our fault. It wasn't your fault. Like, nothing. That's what someone else has to deal with, you know, and you just get to go, I'm starting over. I closed that chapter. I, like, took that skin suit off. No one's touched this body. That's a new mentality. Like, this is a fresh body. This is a fresh, yeah. It's yours to give out as you please, but it's all yours to explore. And it's when you are with somebody, like, it's, you know, sometimes my husband will get mad. He'll be like, girl, you are, like, talking too much. You're too bossy. Like, you're giving me too much instructions. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't be into it. If, like, I said, I'm trying to get there, I'm, like, trying to write the recipe right now. You know what I mean? Like, so that, like, the next time we're just happy. We're just doing it. But, like, I really had to, like, intentionally, like walk to the door, unlock it, and go, okay, you know, be free, you know, like, sit there and cuddle and embrace and kiss, but let your mind and your soul kind of get into it. Like, when we smoke a little pot, and sometimes it's been the best experience to have a little high going on, but because if I'm closing my eyes and we're just smooching away and we're cuddling and it's just, like, soft little, just, like, rubs like this, nothing crazy, we're not, like, rushing it, but my mind goes other dimensional. Our souls are, like, glowing, and I can feel it. I just feel like not here, not in our bed, nothing. We're souls in a dimension. And coming back to reality after that, you just go, whoa, 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 because it's something like totally vulnerable and something that would, like, send me into, like, an anxiety cry. But now I, like, cry of just how beautiful it is. I'm like, that was really special. Thank you for, like, that moment. And it's just like, you know, there's gonna be seasons of incompatibility, and that's, like, kind of really shitty, but it's like, I love you, I'm into you, I want no one else but you, here's where I'm at, and I'm sorry that it's a little frustrating, and I'm sorry that it's, gonna take this course but if they love you, they're gonna understand. They're willing to be patient. They're willing to explore with you, like, meet you where you're at. Like, I felt no judgment. I felt like nothing, and, it's just safe. And intimacy also is like when your inner childs are just free. It's a judgment-free zone of playfulness, I feel like.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, your husband's getting frustrated, but you can't please everybody. As long as you're, how we put it, in integrity with yourself, because you're telling him, like, hey, this is where I'm at, you can't do this, so sorry, because if I went through with something I wasn't comfortable with or wasn't into, that's going to, like, blow up our intimacy down the line. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like the advocacy too. You're advocating for yourself, and you're self-aware. You know where you're at, and I think those are all key things, especially somebody recovering from sexual abuse. Like, you need to advocate for yourself as an adult. You need to know where you're at, be on a your capacity, have a partner that is like respecting the same at all times, because it's just like for other people, it's like, I can freely have sex. It's not, I don't have as many restrictions. For us, it's like, okay, I'm figuring this out. I'm learning. Like,
It means something. It's emotional. There's something behind it, because we're passionate people who seek that connection, who want love. Like, it's not just sex. Some people are just in it for that, like, satisfaction. Well, they're not seeking a really genuine connection at that moment in life, and that's what we are. We want to, we do, and we deserve to.
Okay, so tell the audience what are your favorite things to do, hobby-wise, or your TikTok, whichever.
Well, okay, I mean, I'm not a person with too many hobbies. I feel like I work a lot. I work in insurance. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I'm a manager in the company, and I work a lot. I work from home. I have a dog. My dog is my biggest passion. I make dog food. Like, I do make my own dog food, so he really is.
That's so cool. I should probably start doing that instead of actually buying dog food.
No, I mean, so he was such a picky little boy. I was giving him, like, the best, as a puppy, I was giving him the best kibble I could find. Like, I think it was from brand, and that was going good for a while until we were then switching him to, like, a different adult brand, because he started to just, like, not like to eat kibble, and then he didn't want to eat in the mornings, and then I tried something else, and I tried this. So finally we ended up with the farmer's dog, and that was great. Of course, he loves it. Okay, it's way too expensive. It was like a ridiculous amount of money for a month. And then my mom, thankfully, she's like, I'm pretty sure you can just make this shit at home. Start fucking doing that. And so we did. It's very easy now. It was like I had like a lot of anxiety being like, I have to get it right. Is he getting the right this? This is how, like, I was like very like, oh my God. But it's good. Yeah. So he loves it. He's super spoiled. I make dog food, and I'm in like amateur photographer. I have some wedding gigs coming up next month. Starting that, like, a little bit on the side. I just hang out.
Yeah. And I guess I'm really active, like wedding gigs. Congrats, by the way. And
I'm nervous. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I want to go good. So good. I want them to like everything. I want to feel like I'm presenting myself well, representing myself well, but like when I'm like, I have no business doing wedding photography, but I'm also like a great affordable option, and that's what, and I've like set my expectations, set people's expectations out there to be like, I'm not like, the girl who's going to be in the Photoshop for hours. Like, I'm going to fix the lighting, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it look good, but like the interaction of it all, I'm like, I'm an awkward person, like, in front of the camera. I don't think I photograph that well all the time. I don't know how to pose for shit, so it's like, how can I effectively direct this photography coordination? But that is like research. That's just like get in there, vibe with the people, and be like, look cute and have fun. and it'll work out.
Downhill.
Exactly. Have been. What are my camera settings? What do I need to do?
I feel like we're all in the same brand of people. Because Courtney, who I had on like last week, she's very into ChatGPT. If Courtney hears this episode and corrects me, please do. But it's like very into ChatGPT. I think I just got an app called Motion, which automates all my admin tasks, like
Nice.
my calendar stuff. Because it's just like I own my own business, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just getting to be like a lot mentally. So
Yes. Yeah,
now,
you do a lot, babe.
whew,
You
tell
do a
me.
lot.
I had somebody yesterday tell me that too. They were like, you really need to take a rest day. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. Because
Yeah.
I, yeah. So I mean, I feel like overall you've had a pretty big journey, and but what narrative do you want to walk away with today?
Life's not linear. Healing is not linear. And it's worth it to just keep going. Like, I was a horribly depressed teenager into my early and mid 20s. I could not have anticipated nor expected to feel as open and free and happy and peaceful and vibrant as I do now at 31. I never thought like just the clouds would open one day and it would be like, wow, there's no heaviness inside of my body, and I can wake up and just go, nothing's fucking with me today. Or when it does, go, okay, guess what? You've already conquered worse, harder shit. Like, you're fine. It's gonna be okay. Like, we've all battled so much already that when you look back with gratitude and perspective and go, well, I got myself this far. I can definitely get through this. You know what I mean? Everything is just like one thing at a time, and everything will be fleeting. Happiness can be fleeting. Sadness can be fleeting. Grief can be fleeting. Like, even though grief is always with us, like, love, everything, any anxiety, everything can be fleeting. You don't have to, take everything that you feel, see, hear, and, like, glue it to your body. You know what I mean? It can all just kind of be floating. When, like, just let it ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow. How your day starts is not how your day has to end.
Totally.
There's a lot of perspective to it. Are there any final nuggets you want to give the audience before we sign off?
Just love yourself. Just be happy. Like, if you're not happy right now, you can be. You will be. It will always get better. Each day you wake up, it's a blessing. You can just start your day with gratitude, being like, all right, I'm happy my lungs still work, literally. And you just take it as it comes. You don't have to set too many expectations for yourself. You can just exist. Yeah. Yeah. More than anything. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on Power Up.
Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
I'm sure the audience is going to love you. I love you already. And
I love you.
there will be plenty more episodes. And so that is the Power of the Narrative. And join us for the next episode. Thank you so much for wherever you're listening. Bye, everyone.